This pandemic was a wake-up call for countries that over-rely on China for their manufacturing, especially the neighbors countries such as Japan and Korea. And if you combine that with China aggression in the South China Sea, the incentive to move out of China will just amplify. Thus, Asian tigers are considered other alternatives for their companies, but none of them include Africa and Latin America. The question is why? Why those strong Asian economies are not moving their production facilities to Africa and Latin America? The answer is very simple. It is all about location. Even though some Asian countries might have infrastructure similar to those in Africa and Latin America, the proximity factor tends to play a vital role on the decision for relocation. It's just easier to move their production facilities and heavy equipment to countries nearby than to countries far away across the ocean. That's not the only influence that location plays. If you look at China and compare to other countries, you'll note that China still has advantage when it comes to location. Even though China is not as attractive as it used to be, but it's few hours away from Japan and Korea. And if you're a business owner, you want your manufacturing facility to be closer to your company headquarters. Example: a flight from Tokyo to Guangzhou is 4 hours and 25 minutes, and the flight from Seoul to Guangzhou is 3 hours and 40 minutes. If a Japanese company runs into problem in China, the manager can just take a 4 hours flight to China. A manager can just take the first flight in the morning, arrive before noon, go straight to the facilities, get the job done, and then return home by taking the late flight, and will arrive at home base during the midnight or even before the midnight. And the next day, the manager can just return to their previous routine without jet lag. When it comes to location, China is just very convenient. If you add their transportation network and port facility, it's very difficult to find a better alternative. The only possible alternative will be countries nearby, such as Vietnam, Philippines, Malaysia, and other Asian countries. Example: a flight from Tokyo to Hanoi is just 5 hours and 50 minutes, and a flight from Seoul to Hanoi is 4 hours and 45 minutes. It's just 1 hour different with Guangzhou. The same will not be possible for countries or regions outside of Asia. Example: a flight to Mexico City is 12 hours and 45 minutes for Tokyo and 13 hours and 55 minutes for Seoul. That's a lot. And if they try East Africa or any part of Africa, the time will be at least 3 hours higher. Just a flight from Tokyo to Nairobi might take more than 18 hours, and if you add driving to the facilities, jet lag, and rest period, it will be more than 30 hours of non-productive time. And don't forget, you have to return, and that's another 18 hours. And a complete week of work will go to waste. And that's not all. There's the cultural clash. Even though Asia is far from homogeneous, but the cultural clash between Asian countries is not as higher as the cultural clash between Asian country and Africa or Asian country and Latin America. If a Korean person go to countries such as Malaysia or Vietnam, they will be able to fit easily without much problem, but that will not be possible, let's say, if they go to Mexico City or Addis Ababa in Ethiopia. That's a very important factor when companies are trying to establish production facility or just collaborate with other countries. And if you take in consideration that most of Asian countries tend to have a work culture that will not be easily accepted outside of Asia, the incentive to choose a country such as Vietnam and Philippines will be higher than choose countries outside of Asia. Those factors that I mentioned are not easily noticeable. Thus, most of the economists and business people will not talk about it, let alone the mainstream media. Thanks for staying.